We just, of course, played sound from President Trump criticizing the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but previously he'd praised data from that bureau repeatedly. Back in March, Trump heralded job numbers for the month of February, when BLS reported 151,000 jobs added, only slightly below expectations.
I see good reports. I think we're going to have good numbers from the beginning. These are fantastic numbers. I was watching some of the reports this morning. They were surprised.
In April, Trump applauded the BLS data again when the outcome for March was better than economists expected. He did the same in May when April's numbers also exceeded expectations. And just last month, the president praised the great job numbers that came out for May. But it's a very different tune this time with these job numbers being so disappointing. And President Trump is not quitting on his criticism. Just moments ago, 2 minutes ago, he took to Truth Social to write this. Last week's jobs report was rigged, all caps, just like the numbers prior to the presidential election were rigged. I'll interject this note. That's not true. We cleared that up earlier in the show. He goes on to claim there was massive, quote, record-setting revisions, all in favor of the radical left Democrats. He says he will pick an exceptional replacement, one who won't be a concocting numbers, in his words, to hurt Republicans. He adds, of course, thank you for your attention to this matter. Mara, I mean, this is, to Peter's point, it's dangerous stuff. President not backing off of it. When the numbers are good, he praises it. When they're bad, he gets angry and he fires the person in charge. And there are echoes here of other countries that lost their credibility, that lost parts of their democracy because numbers were changed to fit the whims of their leader.
Right. I mean, this is another example of American exceptionalism out the window. This would have been unthinkable a decade ago, before Donald Trump came on the scene. This happened in Greece. This happened in Argentina. It's happened elsewhere. And, you know, what Americans can expect, apparently, under this president is to see the United States lose its sense of confidence in facts, in also just excellence. And the idea with public service is that no matter who is in charge of the government, a Democrat or a Republican, that you can trust the numbers, that we're all dealing with the same set of facts. And I think, first of all, this is also a sign of weakness politically, because Americans understand that the economy is filled with uncertainty right now. If you are out there looking for a job, you know it's harder than it was a year ago. You know, Donald Trump, no matter who he fires, he can't fix that. Because the reality is the economy is showing signs of stress because of these tariffs and all kinds of other measures that he's taken. And he doesn't want to acknowledge that. But the political reality will catch up with him. And again, just to the example of Greece and Argentina, those economies experienced grievous losses after the data was manipulated. There is nothing to prevent that from happening in the United States if Donald Trump continues on this trajectory. You know, you fire one official. Fortunately, the Bureau of Labor Statistics is filled with excellent public servants, but this is a bad precedent to set. And you've got to think also that even on Wall Street, there's got to be a sense, at least behind the scenes, they may not be saying it publicly yet, of fear, because everybody relies on these statistics.
And speaking of Wall Street, we've got exactly the right person to bring into this conversation. Co-anchor of CNBC's Squawk Box and a New York Times columnist, Andrew Ross Sorkin. Andrew, good to see you. Please do touch upon the jobs number, which was bad. Touch upon those revisions, which were significant and bad. But most importantly, the impact that you're hearing from Wall Street, from business leaders, from those who care about the American economy, of President Trump dismissing this commissioner on Friday simply because he didn't like the numbers.
Well, I think there's two issues here. One is the credibility of the numbers as you might think about it in a political context, and the other is the credibility of the numbers in terms of how well they're being collected today. Let's go to the political piece first. For so long, we get numbers, for example, out of China. I know you'd mentioned Greece and Argentina, but we get numbers out of China every month. And invariably, when those numbers come out, there are conversations about what are the real numbers. That's what happens. Every month we say, here's what the Chinese government is saying, and then we talk to different analysts, different investors, and other people who are trying to keep their own numbers, and we try to compare those numbers to the numbers by the government, because nobody believes the numbers that the Chinese government provides. That is the fear about what's about to happen here in the United States. Because every month we're going to get new jobs numbers in the future. Someone will take this new role. And the question is whether we're going to believe those numbers or whether we're going to have a debate over whether those numbers are true or not. And if they're not to be believed, effectively, what does the Fed do? What do they rely on? What do businesses rely on? So I think that's one big question, and that is the credibility gap that has emerged over the last 72 hours since Friday morning, when the president said these numbers were rigged. Now, since then, there's been not a little bit of a walk back to some degree, where you've seen some White House officials say, you know what, it's not a political issue so much as these guys are just not collecting the numbers particularly well. How is it possible that we have revision after revision after revision after revision? How is it possible that the numbers don't seem to reflect what we all feel about what's happening in the economy? And to some degree, there's truth in that, which is to say that post-COVID, there have been a lot of discrepancies and some real challenges in terms of gathering the data and doing it in a timely way. One of the reasons we get those revisions is because companies are literally sending in their information late or afterwards. So much of it, by the way, is all by mail. It's all postal, right? Or fax machines even. And so there is a question mark about whether the BLS should, for their own credibility, if you will, find better methods to collect that information in a more timely way so you don't get those kinds of revisions. And to the degree that some of the models need to be updated, there's probably some validity in that. The real question now is who is going to be responsible for putting that in action, and are people going to believe that whatever they do, it's not political?
All right. CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin, thank you very much.